So before I start this video, I just want to say I've taken some time and I've been researching a lot about WW2, getting the facts. And I've been studying this guy, Hitler, and I've learned some things about this character. So all I gotta say is, the guy's a real jerk. And this may be an unpopular opinion, but if I had a time machine, if I could go back in time, I think I would kill Hitler. So, I might get a strike for that or whatever. But that's what I would do. And then lastly, I just, for the record, just want to say I denounce all forms of socialism. Whether it's the nascent rising democratic socialism or the 100-year-old, more militaristic, expansionistic, national sort of the past. The sort Bernie Sanders talked about when he said that open borders was a Koch brothers scheme, the nationalist sort of. So, I just denounce it all. Any sort of forced communalism I oppose. I denounce all socialism. So without further ado, let's talk about Ye breaking the Overton window on Infowars. So much so he even made old Alex Jones look uncomfortable a handful of times. Much to, I feel bad for Alex. It was funny, yet at the same time, the hell he's been put through legally. But the number one thing you'll hear people say about Ye is, oh man, it's so hard to watch him melt down like this. He's got mental problems. He needs help. He's sick. Crazy. Thinking, First of all, I've had crazy people in my life, and not just like a psycho ex-girlfriend. I mean, people that need mental help. Like, I've seen it. I've seen the absolutely disjointed disasters that is their thought. It's weird, and I've seen people that really need their medication. I've seen mania, bipolar, the ups and the downs. I've seen that. When I lived up north, I lived near a area where they had a big mental hospital, and occasionally there would be patients that would get out or escape, or I don't know, somehow were released. And if you've ever talked to a schizophrenic, it's impossible to parody. You can tell something is wrong at a level, it's so bizarre, the absolute nonsensical line of thinking that comes through their head. It's a total mess. And that's not what I saw with Ye. Now, he does have some documented and mental issues. I don't deny that. But what I saw with Ye was more a collection of what you've been seeing, a body of knowledge that's been developing here online for a long time. And, of course, he said it provocatively. He said it in ways I wouldn't have said it, but, of course, I also didn't date Kim Kardashian. But he brought up a lot of points that they're out there. If you know who to follow and who's talking about them, people have been amalgamating a lot of this information. Here, on this channel, we've been putting some of these pieces together. One of my best performing videos on YouTube isn't a particularly good one, but it's about the humiliation rituals and putting black men in Hollywood in dresses to bust them down. There's a lot of blackmail. There's control, and that's another thing we've talked a lot about is the golden muzzles. I call them LARP against the machine, but any musician really. But you can't simply have someone with millions and millions of fans and followers that just has free reign to say and do whatever they want. They're all under control somehow, whether it's drugs or blackmail or money or intimidation. And what Ye shed a lot of light on was the drugging of artists. Why Dave Chappelle fled to South Africa and what they tried to do to him. Get him up on so much lithium that he would have been a zombie. They threatened him with this. he brought the receipts. Like, he had the inside information on all this. It was very interesting. I mean, like, first and last names of these trainers and text messages from them. He had it. When it comes to muzzling artists, I like to use the example of Chris Cornell, another guy that was prescribed heavy doses of Ativan, an anxiety drug that Dr. Drew, addiction medical specialist, said a recovered addict should never be on Ativan, let alone doses that high. And, Chris Cornell died under very suspicious circumstances. A brand new bodyguard that apparently could kick down 2 locked doors in the presidential suite of the Hyatt Hotel in Detroit, who he found him strangled to death with a red exercise band, which I believe is a 40-pound exercise band, which is, Chris Cornell was about 6'3", 180 pounds. Kind of a weird way to finish yourself off. You had to be on a lot of Ativan or something. But what I pointed out is you can't have a Chris Cornell going out on stage with thousands of fans there and millions of people who are going to watch your show after. And what if he just said Clinton body count? Or Epstein didn't kill himself? A celebrity with a big, adoring fan base can lay waste to all these establishment narratives, and we've seen how fragile they are with Elon buying Twitter. Oh, Elon's a transhumanist. Yeah, I get it. Just because I talk about someone or say someone does something good doesn't mean that I think they're the savior. Okay? Maybe we do need to dole out a little more autism medication. But what you can see with, a celebrity like Ye is, as he put it, I am the battering ram, and then Fuentes and Milo are the SWAT team that come in afterwards. They have the facts dialed in. They have all of the information. So, Kanye barges in with a, real provocative statement and a general understanding of what's going on, and then some specifics within the entertainment industry. And, he knows the rappers. He knows who controls what Shaq can say. But then Nick could come in and has a very impressive command of the rest of the facts. So a truly crazy person would just be out there in outer space. They wouldn't have someone that is able to come up behind them and be like, yes, this is true, that is true, that is true. Here is the details, here are the dates, here are the people involved, and here's the sources. Very solid and very tight arguments. And another thing to argue against Ye being crazy would be, well, the comedic timing. You may have noticed at the start of this video, I tried to pull off a couple of old Norm Macdonald jokes. Did you laugh? Probably not, right? Because I don't really have good comedic timing. I can do deadpan a little bit, but I can't sing in tune, and I don't have comedic timing. But that Netanyahu joke was funny. That was legit funny. And he brought up Netan in the little Netan voice, and the timing was perfect. That wasn't the insane rantings that got like pity chuckles. That was legitimately solid comedic timing. He was funny. And he brought in a couple of Owen Benjamin jokes. Again, another guy that's been talking about, well, pretty similar things. Guess what? Another guy that got booted out of the entertainment industry and then began to see some stuff. Ironically, a guy that I think Alex Jones fired for, I don't know if it was the Teva Pharmaceuticals, criticized something. I don't know. It's such a tangled mess at this point, I can't keep it straight. But clearly, this is not just the rantings and ravings of a crazy man. Like, look, if you disagree with the man's conclusions, you can go back over his premises and argue with those. But that's the way you hold a debate and an argument and a discussion with a completely sane person. And then something that I think might have gone over a lot of people's heads was he kept saying, I love the bad man from World War II. I love Balenciaga. I love the people that took my money away. I love everyone. And he kept saying that over and over. I love everyone, no matter who they are. And then he affirmed, I am a Christian. So if I were to ask a modern day Christian, what What are the primary virtues of Christianity? You might get discernment, you might get charitableness, you might get kindness, you might even get diversity. But you get this wide range of answers. But if you were to go back in time and you were to ask an ancient Christian, what is the primary Christian virtue? You would get love. Love was the primary Christian virtue. And we're not talking the hippie trippy love everybody stuff where, hippies corrupted everything they parade about is actually just corrupted Christianity. But Christianity as taught by Christ is tough. It is a very difficult path to follow if you are seriously interested in walking in the footsteps of Christ. Love your enemies. Well, these days that's not the Pharisees. That show is long gone and past. It's pretty hard to love your enemies right now, and I'm certainly not there. I cannot dwell on it. I can do my best to let it go or forgive or understand, but love your enemies. And yet that is what Ye is trying to do. That is what he's saying. When he says, I love everyone, even people that have treated me horribly, he's a practicing Christian. That's what he's doing. And that's going to go over so many people's heads where they're like, how can he say he loves the bad man? And it's like, do you understand what he's saying? They don't even know their own supposed religion. So really what you saw in the end here was a whole lot of ideas that have been developing for a long time, kind of behind that screen of mainstream censorship, just punch through every barrier and every blockade and every muzzle and every gatekeeping, gate guard watching matrix barrier that they've erected. And it's like almost like Athena springing from the head of Zeus, fully grown and in battle armor, like totally ready to go. And that's why it looks so crazy to so many people, because they didn't take that journey step by step by step of learning and understanding. It's just like, whoa, what is all this and where did it come from? It's crazy. And it's like, yeah, not really. But you're just seeing this fully formed adult. You're not seeing the baby steps that it took to get there for a lot of people. And so that just annihilated the Overton window. And because it's Kanye and it's Alex Jones, and by the way, does censorship work? Even Jon Stewart is belatedly realizing that it doesn't. This is what happens when you censor people and censor ideas. Then you are completely unprepared. All it takes is one celebrity to go off the rails and break it all wide open. So much for your vaunted censorship and control. But I'm glad he did this because it shows you, it makes it real easy to see who, the people and personalities you follow. Who are those people that can see things as they are, who are really truth seekers, and who are just trying to suck up to some establishment group or another who's trying to grift. It is really separating the truth from the snakes. And I like it, and I'm glad it happened. So that's my take on that. If you'd like to follow me, I'm on YouTube, BitChute, Odyssey, and Rumble, and now I'm on the Twatter, and I make jokes like this where I think, I at least think I'm funny. And, you can follow there if you're interested. It's a lot easier for me to tweet than sit down and put out entire videos. It's just a time thing, and time is the one thing I don't really have.
Master, I am Barabbas, a zealot. Before he was murdered, Amos sent word to us. He said to trust you. My brothers are ready. Some of them are temple guards. Our day of revenge against the Romans has come. Every day their grip becomes tighter. Our people have grown used to oppression. But with you to lead them, and with our swords behind you, they will rise up. We can teach them to fight. Some of the priests and Sadducees have said, obey the laws of Caesar. They do not speak for the Jewish people. Tell us what to do, Whatever you say will follow you.
Then love your enemies and forgive those who use and persecute you. The day of forgiveness is at hand.
Forgive Herod? Forgive the Romans?
Forgive them all.
But the Romans have butchered hundreds of innocent people, young people, old people, lives ended without mercy, without trial. Surely you can't mean to forgive that, Master. We must meet the sword with the sword.
All who take up the sword shall perish by the sword.
But we must end the voice of weeping in Israel.
Barabbas, your zeal blinds you to the truth. The New Jerusalem will not be built by murder and uprisings. The wisdom of God will fill the land as water fills the sea. The lion will lie down with the lamb. There'll be no more killing or destroying. And the voice of weeping shall be heard no more.
While we wait for that day to come, our people live in mourning and lamentation.
Barabbas, you wish to follow me? I have come to take on my shoulders the sins of the world. He who would follow me must do the same.
Oh, no.
Barabbas,